Well, bit early, so obviously we're just gonna wait for a few to come in. If they do, hopefully the chat will work tonight. If you're on and you're looking, if you can let me know whether the chat is working. I have got so many notes. Oh my days! I don't even know where to start. So if you just joined us, Rob Sweet, yay! Finally, I've got the chat working. It's absolutely doing my head in. It's been doing my head in for a while, the old live chat. Hopefully a few sort of people are going to join me this evening, have a listen to chat about the old result yesterday, which was it was Friday. Oh God, not yesterday, Friday. I forget my days. I've been at work. I'm absolutely knackered. So let's get into it. I'm a fisherman. This is Fisherman's Bluez. Welcome to my channel. Thank you if you've joined me. We are going to be talking everything Ipswich the best I can, and I'm hoping tonight. It looks like my chat is working. First time, I think I'm getting the hang of this. It's like superb. I'm in my pink kit tonight. I do like this kit. It's a bit tight, even though I'm just getting a bit fat, one or the other. I can live with that. Anyway, Rob Smith, good evening, Good evening, Robert. How you doing? Martin Bell, good evening. Mike Baker, evening from the bank bar. Dino, evening. Trevor, you're a day late, but where was you? Brilliant. Good evening, Charlie. Okay. No, I appreciate that. I stay at Greg's. I don't eat Greg's, to be fair. I've been pretty good with my food lately. I'm trying to eat less, shall we say. Martin, yeah, I'll always keep it real. So let's get into it. I'll try and keep up with the chat, and we'll just go as we normally do. So obviously, Middlesbrough away. There was something about the game I was concerned about. Were we going to keep the same settled side? Try and keep a settled side, see how we go. Well, didn't go well, did it? Let's be fair. Dino says it was diabolical on Friday. Yeah, it was. And I'll get into it. I've got my other phone out. I've got many notes. I've got so many notes. I mean, look, lineup was the same against Norwich. So we had Palmer in goal, Davis, Kipre, O'Shea, Furlong, Kajus, Matasiwa, and Philogene, Smodic, and Agelli and Hurst. And we'll get on to Hurst a little while, shall we say, and we'll get on to some of our somewhat shocking performance. So game kicks off, bit of a stalemate really. There weren't a lot happening. We had our chances. Smodic had a shot, which was quite tame. And I think I'm not sure, other than 110% effort, what Smodic is offering at the moment. I cannot fault the lad's effort. I don't know whether he's being told to do certain things or whether he's over trying. It's just not working for him at the moment in that number 10 role. Yeah, we'll get on to Hurst. Right now, I just want to, let's start at the back. Forget about the goalkeeper, let's start at the defence, right? Davis, been really good season so far for him. Shall we say it was a defensive, how not to defend at senior level, shall we say. It was, at times he was completely, it was just, I don't have, I really don't, I'm struggling for words. Let's read something. Look, I'm going to have a think about this for a second. So Dino says, diabolical on Friday, as I already mentioned. Charlie says, too slow and predictable. Have to agree. Defending, shite defending as usual. I can't disagree with that. Kajus should have come off at the break. Wasn't in it at all. Again, I can't disagree with that. To win any games, you've got to get the basics right. The consistent schoolboy errors is killing us. Agree with that. Smodic is offering a bit more than Akpom. I can't disagree with that. But it's just like, he's so desperate for a goal. And, you know, it was Burnsy evening. My old mate Sean, I hope you're well, buddy. I hope you're flying high at the moment, top of the old Premier League with your team. Liverpool gifted you some leeway today with an absolute diabolical performance against United. Anyway, let's go on to it. So defensively, we were all over the shop. Obviously, we get towards the end of the first half, and then great, you know, we get a penalty. Was it a soft penalty? Yeah, probably was. I know there was a shot where obviously people are saying, oh, it was handball, but I think it was. Look, would it have been getting in the Premier League? Probably. VAR and all that. We know how that works. If you know, little sides never get the decision. But I will say, you know, it was an opportunity and it should have been buried. But then what I will say is we get an opportunity with a penalty and we have Mr. Bread and Butter step up. I mean, we won't forget that at the end of hurry, will he? Mr. Bread and Butter. How can we put this? You know, end of the Birmingham game interview. Oh yeah, that's my bread and butter. You know, I've got to do that. And how many penalties has he missed now since that? You know, I'm not going to lie. All right, when Hurst stepped up and I looked at how he was going to play that, I think I could have saved that. I'm 17.5 stone. I've got about as good movement as a man of my age that's overweight, and I still think I could have saved that. It was such a poor penalty. Everybody I spoke to since, off socials, friends of mine and family, all said the same thing. He was going to the keeper's right, and that was it. Bang, straight in the back, straight in the keeper's hand, straight in the keeper out. You know. And let's be fair, it was such a shit penalty, and you know, and it's ridiculous. We've got players on there that can and should take penalties. Let's just read because I've seen a few messages here. Dino says all the space we were leaving is schoolboy stuff. Again, agree with that. O'Shea gives me no confidence as a captain whatsoever. Rob, absolutely agree, mate. Burnsy, you're not getting carried away, mate, but a long way to go. But yeah, you're in a good position right now. Mike says too many of our boys didn't show up. Colin, good evening. My old mate Colin, I ain't seen him for a long time. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy. Martin says too many individuals which McKenna is struggling to get a tune out of. Peter Dowling, 20 seconds left. Have a throw in and we play it short. Says it all. Colin, agree with Colin this. Philogene should have taken the penalty. Hurst should never be allowed to grab that ball again at a penalty spot. Not in a million years. Rob says, I agree, Colin. Need to move the ball faster and make the first pass count. Smodic, Philogene should have taken it. Penalty well hit. Do you know what? I don't agree there, Trevor. I think the penalty, like I said, I genuinely believe I could have saved that. Good evening, 80. Another good old town fan. Love the game. I gave my head a wobble the whole of Friday's game, Mike. It was not good performance. It's a Fisherman Live. Great to see you, Mike. Thank you. Right, okay. Carl, I'm sad to hear that, Colin. I don't like to hear you not being great. Right, so Hurst misses a penalty, and then the writing was on the wall, wasn't it? it was absolute calamitous at the back. The ball kept going in, and we were just like, it was. I tell you what, I haven't seen such poor defending since you watch sort of under 11s. You know, when they play 9-a-side and everybody's in the box and the ball is pinballing all over the place and the keeper pulls off some saves. And it was laughable. It was so laughable. And obviously, look, goes down the right-hand side, whips it back. Kipre is nip one and purling one with his feet. And it goes in the back of the net. 1-0 Middlesbrough, and that was the first half done and dusted. And I just said, from that point onwards, we'll lose this game. We were just poor. Too many players poor. Absolutely ridiculously poor. O'Shea was oh dear. And I know I can hear my mate Cruncher going, no, O'Shea ain't that bad. No, I don't. Listen, he scored a goal, yeah? Well, you stick me in that box and get them balls whipped in. Eventually, the average of numbers, I'm going to put one in the back of the net. So, you know, the end of the day is, for me, where's the leadership in this team? Where is the leadership? There is no leaders on that pitch. And I see a post from another podcaster, Callie. He put the team that got promoted would batter this side. And I have to agree with him. I think it would. I think the team that got promoted would beat this team, this current team, and the way it's playing. Has McKenna got to take some of the flack? Absolutely. We all buzzing after the Norwich game. We were buzzing. You know, we were absolutely buzzing. You know, we haven't beaten them in 16 years. We were all like leaving the ground, buzzing. I think finally we're going to take sort of 2 or 3 steps forward now. And we're going to climb the table. You know, everybody was talking about beating Blackburn, and that puts us in the top 3 or top 4. And then me and Crunch are having look. If you're not subscribed, Suffolk Crunch, good friend of mine. Enjoy that channel, love it. And you know, if it was just poor. It was just poor across the ball. You know. Cipre, look, he had a really good game against Norwich, and we just, yeah, it just wasn't great. And like I was trying to say before, you know, Southern Crunch said, we were having a bit of banter, and I said to him, you know, he said to me, Borough, I said Borough top 2 this season. Well, they're sitting top at the moment, and well, they're not now, but they were Friday, and now Coventry winning the game. They're just 2 teams, 2 in 4 teams at the moment, and it's very, very difficult to see where we're getting points from and where we're getting wins from. Home, yeah, okay, we're doing all right at home, but away from was shocking. And we have I think we have a 110 million pound team. Let that sink in. Ipswich Town, 110 million pound team. And we're struggling to get a tune out of these players. Norwich feels right now very much so like it's a papering over the cracks. We only play one way. We play out from the back consistently. I mean, you only got to look at what Man United did. They did an absolute masterstroke in tactics today. Not once did that side today. I watched the game. They didn't play out the back from once. Constantly passed it into the midfield from the goalkeeper or up to the forwards or up to the 3 forwards. Something we don't do. We are too slow in possession. We can't pass the ball for Toffee. O'Shea is good with his head, but can't pass the ball. You know, people blaming Palmer at times for not being able to pass the ball. Well, it would help if he had confidence in the player, especially a captain, if he can receive the ball and make a proper pass. You know, the first 3 passes against Norwich was gone. Let's look at some of these comments before I get. Okay, so Charlie says not getting a Delap replacement is going to come back and bite us badly. Yeah, I have to say, totally agree with that. Something both myself and Cruncher agree with. Colin says Azon has to start. I like Azon. There's something about him. I think if he starts scoring, he's going to bang in a few. Bad time to let it go. Yeah, just before half time and all that. Peter says, McKenna keep being 1-0 down away from home. Maybe try and score first. Needs to play 100 times quicker. Yeah, Martin says mid-table at the best. Colin says get Clark back in. Band of Brothers has broken up because we were told Premier League ready players were coming in. Don't see it. We've got Kipre, who was brilliant against Norwich. Like I said, he was nit one, pearl one with his feet for their first goal. We come out of the break and we again too slow, and then bang. Had to be Whittaker, didn't it? Bang, 2-0. That's it. For me, that's game over. We weren't never coming in. We were never coming back from that. Not in a million years. For me, I'd have took off Hurst at half time. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was poor. I'd have took Cajuste off. For me, you know what? Cajuste is just a luxury player. I think he's a good impact. I think he's a player you could bring on as an impact player, but he's not a player that I would start. He proved that in the Premier League. He can pass the ball, but where's our goals coming from in midfield? I mean, at least Morsey scored some goals, and at least Morsey led the team to back-to-back promotions, and there's no leadership. And Charlie says, overrated, doesn't score or assist goals, and poor defensively. He was very much so. Last season in the Prem, okay going forwards, but defensively all over the shop. And for me, he's a luxury player, and we need a bit of grit and determination in that midfield. For me, I think Nunez has got to come in. We paid all that money. I think he's got to come in. But will McKenna do it? No idea. Adi says, do you still believe we have to trust the process? What process? All we've done at the start of this season is just dismantle a promotion-winning side and trying to rebuild it with over-expensive players, in my opinion. I've never rated O'Shea since he came in. Greaves is no better. And I know we can't keep harping on the past, but are you telling me the current back two back three even, are better than Wolfie and Burgess that we've let go? Or they wanted to go? Are they? No, they're not. What? £27 million. Look, Furlong didn't have a great game, but I don't think he was helped with our defensive lineup. And like I said, Matasiwa, I didn't think had a bad game. I just think he weren't helped. Colin says, not signing a striker is really starting to bite us in the bum. I agree to a point, but what I will say is, when we got promoted, we had players across the midfield and left back Leaf. They were all chipping in with goals. Our number 9s, Chappers scored a few goals. Hurst, right? So I was looking at the stat. Hurst has had 81 games, 81 league games since he came to us. He's scored 19 goals. Injured most of the time. Never fault his effort, but I'm starting to look at him as a Caden Jackson. Do you know what? Actually, Trevor, you're actually bang on the money there. I said Sunderland's recruitment for the Premier League was bang on the money. They got someone in Xhaka who is a brilliant midfielder. They could see where they need strengthening, and And that's what's happened. You know, I mean, the older here, is it? Whatever his name on left, brilliant defender, been brilliant. He's got me plenty of points in the old fantasy league. And it just goes to show that if you get your recruitment right, which is now 2 seasons, I would argue that we haven't got our recruitment right. You know, we brought in McAtee for £12 million from Leicester. I think they're probably laughing now, thinking £12 million. We made some money. We've made some money there. You know, and Rob says Matassi was poor along the rest of the midfield. Kajus not firing either. Can't rely on Philogene every game. Just not performing in away games. I see Paul Merson on afterwards talking, and he said we just played too open. We played too open, and there was a point in the first half. We were getting forward. Furlong got forward. O'Shea got forward, and I think there was 2 players, two Middlesbrough players, on an overlap, and thankfully Palmer, who I have to say was man of the match, outstanding. If it hadn't been for him, we'd have lost that 5-6-1. He was brilliant, and that says everything you need to know about how we played. Which you have to ask yourself. Now, last week we were all buzzing, even me. And McKenna was like, well, we were like, well, okay, maybe McKenna's now turned a corner. But he's not. It's just not doing it, is he? You know, he's substitutes 71 minutes. I mean, what's that all about? The same thing. I mean, if I was an opposition manager, I could predict what was going to happen. I'd be setting my team up, knowing full well that 70 minutes, Ipswich are going to make a change. And they're just going to bring on like for like, with no real, you know, with no real purpose, you know, there is no impact players on the bench. That right-hand side has worried me for a while. I cannot wait for Burns to get back. That player offered so much. And he's missed the whole Premier League, pretty much whole Premier League season. I think we'd have been, I'm not saying we'd have stayed up, but I think he could have been such a good player to have in the Premier League. You know, and then we lose old Benny, a player that we buy for the Premier League, and yet we go let him go out on loan. Let him go out on loan. You know, there was only, like I said, literally Palmer was the only player that come out of that. You know, and it's ridiculous. Let's go back to some of these comments. Obviously, we're talking about Sunderland. Okay. Rob Smith, I thought Agelli was supposed to be a striker, not a winger. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I thought he was a number 9 when he come to us. You know, and I thought, well, he's out on that right-hand side, and he looked okay, but let's be honest, it's Norwich. They're shit anyway, you know. I mean, he lost again yesterday. I think Manning's probably on his way out, and I know the fans want Napa gone as well. You know, so I agree with that. And Trevor says, we spent £30 million on 2 right wingers, but never replaced the lap. I think this is the problem, isn't it? You know, I'm trying to understand the recruitment. I really am trying to understand the recruitment. It's like, right, we're going to buy these players and hopefully sell them for more money than we pay for them. Okay, so Delap we did, albeit we had a £30 million buyout clause on that. I thought it was ridiculous. And then we got Amari, who, look, lost the respect of all the fan base when he forced himself to move and refused to play for a game or whatever. And for me, I'm not on board with that. I think that's disgraceful. I think the Town fans deserve better than that. We don't know the full story. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But right now, it just feels that we are devoid of a team, devoid of a manager that can actually get a tune out of this team. You know, people say, oh, it takes time, it takes time. We are a quarter of the way through the season. It is now getting towards the end of October. You know, December, right? December. I always think the game before Christmas will decide pretty much where we'll end up in the new year. because that gives you some idea on where we are as a team, how many points we've got on the board. We're not scoring enough goals. We're not creating enough. It's the same slow, methodic football that we're playing, and it's very hard for the fan base to watch. And right, I'm going to go back to this on it. It's a brilliant comments here. So Mike Baker says, I keep getting told that Hurst isn't a team to score, but surely that's a striker's main job. Do you know what? I think in League One, I think he offered more. I think the two promotion seasons, we had the players that Hurst linked up with. And remember, we had what's the name? And we had Burns. My memory's tongue tied. We had Burns on the right, who was getting linked up quite well with Wolfenden because they knew how to play the ball, and it was doing quite well. Harry Clark played on that side, and so you kind of had that link-up play. Same with Leif Davis. There was players that were scoring goals, including the midfield. But the problem is now we don't have none of that. Every team knows how to play against us. And remember, right? People say about managers and teams and stuff like that. The team that's sitting top at the moment, Coventry, was at 90% of them, 95% of them players were there last season. And as much as I'm not a great fan of Lampard, you can't argue with. He's getting a tune out of these players. He's getting them to play, and you can't keep playing the same way. And I think McKenna is a one-trick pony. I genuinely feel that. We got promoted out of League One, which was great. We scored ridiculous amount of goals. We got promoted out of the Championship. Why? Because we had a team full of leaders. And now we get to the Premier League and we win, 3 or 4 games, I think it was, in total. And Sunderland have already achieved that. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I think Leeds and Sunderland will stay up. And I think that's down to good recruitment. And I think as much as the good work Mark Ashton's done off the pitch and into the ground and around his recruitment with McKenna, at times, I think, has been poor. We needed forward players and that could score goals, and we're not doing that. We're not scoring enough goals. Dino says, leaving your hat on Hurst won't get you promoted. We knew after Southampton game we were down and plenty of time to get players in. No excuses. I absolutely agree with that, Dino. We were down after that Southampton game. Anybody with half a brain cell knew that, and yet we do nothing. And I get excuses, we can't sign this player, we can't sign that player, and it's wrong. Colin Plum, Humphreys deserves a chance. I just don't see how he fits into the system. I like him, but I don't think he's going to get game time with McKenna. I think he's carrying injury as well at the moment. I'm not 100% certain. This season is deja vu, like the promotion season from League One. It has brilliant squad, but most of the season McKenna was stubborn and naive. Manning in. Oh yeah, he's doing a fantastic job at Norwich. I think he should absolutely. Keep his job at Norwich. Take them down to League One. Let them sit there and wallow in there for a few years. We're supposed to have Martin Pert, who has all this black book. It hasn't happened. We need to be top 6 by Christmas. I agree. I just see a comment that I'm going to get to that in a minute. United fan, do you think McKenna could get the sack if he doesn't get promoted? Well, I've said this all along in the season. I don't think, unless something really changes, I don't see McKenna staying here or being here till at the end of the season. When you're given that kind of expenditure, and the owners are not going to be stupid. I mean, I'm not saying we do what Forest has done. Ange has just been sacked, hasn't he? Literally straight after the game. I think the owner threw his toys out of the pram, sacked him. I don't know what he was supposed to do at Forest when you're used to playing in a certain way and the team's done well under Santos. I find that staggering, really. But it is what it is, and I don't want us to be like that. But I don't think McKenna will be at the end of the season. And like I said, there's no formation changes. There's no different styles of play. When you see top Premier League sides, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, all these teams, when they're losing, they will start going the long ball route. And even at times in the start of the game, they'll go long ball route. That's, when I say long ball, long pass, because some of our problems are down to our own inability to pass to each other. You have to question what happens on the training ground. I mean, is McKenna seeing things that we're not on the training ground, thinking they're going to work on the game day? I don't know. Is our home form going to be our saving grace this year? I don't know. I'm just very frustrated with the fact that we have this over £100 million team, and yet we're supposed to have one of the best young managers in the country. It's like Roy Orbison playing an out-of-tune guitar, isn't it, really? So for me, I think, you can have the good manager, but I just think the recruitment's wrong. We've got no one really taking the reins apart from Philogene. I mean, he didn't get the passes, he didn't get the ball much. There was just not enough creativity. Look, I know obviously there's been I see on the socials, Morsey's name's being sort of touted to come back. I think that ship has sailed, if I'm honest. I don't want him here under these circumstances. I'd rather he stayed and led us from there. I would rather us continue without Morsey, because he doesn't deserve to be in a team that's playing like this. That lad gave us some great memories, me, my brother, fans, everyone, great memories of promotion and coming up with the odd goal. And I just can't see where Matasiwa and Kajus are going to come up with goals. They're just not. They're not that type of player. Which I think Nunez is. I think Nunez can offer that. I think Matasiwa can defend. I think he's probably our best defensive midfielder. But what I would like to see is Nunez come on the pitch just to play that up and down role, in the midfield to create something, because we have no one in no one to create. Let's read some of these comments. Oops, what have I done here? Go back up. There we are. Paul Barrett, actually, Joe, Paul Barrett, if we played Coventry now, I think we're in the end of an absolute tanking. Do you know what? Agreed. I think if we played Coventry, we would probably get proper tanked. They are playing with some really good fluency and their confidence is high. And I think obviously that does help. Set pieces are awful, Charlie. I agree. It's just plan A, that's it. And he still can't beat a low block. Well, you beat a low block by putting crosses in the box and having people in the box. It's as simple as that. My boys' team went down to 10 men yesterday due to a silly defender on a yellow card making another rash challenge. And I just said to my boys, I said, just play it long. You've got nothing to lose now, play it long. You can't pass out the back because you're down to 10 men. We're playing with 11 men and we're chasing the game. We're 2-0 down and we throw it back. We try and keep the same way. You've got to be different. You really have. And, we tried to play the same way in the Premier League and we got absolutely trounced in some games. And it's I just feel that I just cannot see how we're going to get anywhere near the top two right now. And I know I'm being negative. That's fine. I'm allowed to be. I will say it as it is. We are, like I said, I think we're missing Burns on that right hand side. I think he's, like I said, I love Burns. Love to watch him play. He got some absolutely unnecessary stick from players. I think clearly fans that don't know what they're talking about. You know, and I still can't get that goal out of my head. You know, outside the foot, straight into that top left. Oh, what an absolute goal that was! And they're great memories. Oh God, I tell you what, I can't believe such a great live tonight. Honestly, so many comments in the chat. Honestly, lads, and ladies, if you're in it, I thank you so much because it keeps me busy. I rate Matasiwa, good signing, but I agree he never crosses the halfway line. And to be fair though, Trev, I don't want him doing that. You know, if we've got Davis and Furlong bombing forward, we need a Matasiwa who can help out the defensive line. So if Greaves or O'Shea gets pulled out wide because we're, I don't know, hit on the break, we've got someone that can just slot into that hole there and you know, and do sort of offers a little bit of protection. You know, and like I said, if not for Palm, I think we'd have lost that 5-1, 6-1, who knows, because it was just very, very difficult to watch. Dino says, Mikey doesn't play like he likes to pass around the back and it's in the middle of the park. I can't disagree. It's just some brilliant common sense chatting here. I know. AD says, I noticed there is nobody supporting KM on the socials at the moment. That tells you a lot amongst the fan base. And you know what? I think he's ticking. I think it genuinely is. I think the clock is ticking on McKenna. I think he's papering over the cracks. That Norwich game is papering over the cracks, and it's very difficult to see how we get out of this. We'll win. Could we win our home games? I think we're better at home, but I think that's down to the fantastic fan base. Let's be honest. But away from home, we're atrocious. I just don't know what McKenna wants to do. I really don't. I'm struggling to understand what he's trying to achieve. It's like, you know, and his interview after every loss. Honestly, it could just wash, rinse. Look, easy for me to say. Let me put my teeth in. Wash, rinse, repeat. And that is after every time we lose, he says the same old rubbish. And it's draining. I've said it before, it's draining. You know, we've had some great times. And it just feels absolutely shit at the moment because we're not playing well. I wouldn't mind if we played well and we got beaten by a better side, a better team. On paper, we should be one of the best teams in the league, hence why we were favourites to go up. I would not put a tenner on Ipswich going up right now. I wouldn't. I said that at the start, and I'll say it now. I think at best we are looking top 6, top 4. Well, we'll be in the playoffs. We ain't going top 2. I genuinely believe Coventry and Middlesbrough will be top 2. I think they've got momentum, and I think unless we go on an amazing run and we start banging in goals for fun, we ain't making top 2. Let's read some of these comments. Okay, Colin says, can someone tell me if Liam Gibbs is starting games at Carrot Road? Yeah, he got some pelters when he came Portman Road, I can tell you that now. Liam Gibbs to be loaned out to Thetford Town. How could you do that to Thetford Town? I mean, come on. Thetford Town deserve better. We haven't won away a season, and nobody mentioned Smodic hasn't scored yet as well. Again, McKenna becoming more like Russell Martin. I cannot disagree with that. Is becoming it. You know, it's very stubborn. And listen, every manager has their day. You know. Hang on, well, you said we would win it. What, win the league? Can I just hide my head in shame? I don't know what you mean, Trev. No idea what you mean, mate. No, I don't remember saying that. Whoa. Yeah, that's going to come back and bite me in the arse, isn't it? Ipswich to win the league, not a chance. Yeah. Look, we needed to get started well. If we'd have been like top four right now, I get, you know, I get that. I get that maybe we would have, but I noticed KM was reluctant to come over to the away fans after the Borough game. Well, so he should be. I think. He's just. Look, something's not right. My question is, right, I got some questions, right? So I took some notes earlier, and obviously, excuse me for doing this, but I'm going to grab my notes. Right, some things that I felt, right? We leave too many gaps at the back. That's one thing I feel we do all the time. Smodic, not scoring goals, Caduce, a luxury player. No leadership after all the money we've spent, and the plan B is awful. That's just off some of my notes. Subs far too late. It was clear to me Hurst, look, his confidence was going to be absolutely shot, and he is shot. And I'm sorry, but he's got himself to blame. You don't give it all to Biggin and then miss your next two penalties. Because there's players, like Colin said earlier, Philogene, who can step up, Smodic can take penalties, and I think that's what's going to happen. Hurst is predictable. And like I said, I could have saved it. And I feel for the away fans because I mean that's another gripe, right? On what planet do Sky or whoever organised that Friday night game think it's fair on the fans to do a 502 or over 500 mile round trip on a Friday night to watch a game of football? Do they think on what plan do they think that's right? I felt, and it was cracking to the Borough fans to make notice of that. The away fans, but let's be honest, some of the lads on Country were saying he didn't get home till 3 a.m. Devoted fans like that, is look, credit to him if you're willing to do that. I just, you go all that way to see a dismal performance. It's like, but my argument is this: would you travel 200 miles to go and have a luxury dinner at some luxury hotel with some luxury chef cooking it, and it turns out to be shit? Would you be happy with it? Would you pay for it? Look, I get that. I get that. Obviously, our fan base and our fans, everybody wants to go. A lot of fans go away and have their, it's their religion, and I understand it. Town has been my club since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And Peter Downing said, we've got Oxford away on a Friday. I mean, on what? Why? The FA are, well, they know FA, don't they? Let's be honest. They know fuck all. I'm sick and tired of them. I'm sick and tired of the rules. The offside rule. The other one is like you can't flag now until the player's been gone through, and it's all wrong. Handball. How can you have a handball rule different in Europe and in the World Cup than we do in the Premier League? Surely football rules applies to everyone, not just very strange football at the moment, and it's all about money, and money talks. And Rob's just pointed out we've got Bristol City at home and away, both Tuesday nights. Again, it's not fair on the away fans. I just don't understand it. And then with Ipswich playing like they are, just not good, is it? Not good at all. I'm just going. I'm going to do another 5 minutes. And right. So for me, Palmer, man of the match, outstanding performance. 80 says reluctant to give yellow cards in the first half gets me. A yellow card's a yellow card. If you give it, I mean, we saw a yellow card given, didn't we, for taking a free kick before the ref was ready, and he gave a yellow card to a player. You're like, really? Madness. So for me, let's go about it. Palmer, a 9 out of 10 performance for me. Outstanding. Davis gets a 4. Cypre gets a 4. O'Shea gets a 4. Furlong gets a 4. Out of 10s, these are. Out of 10s. Can you believe that? Caduce gets a 4. Matasiwa gets a 6. I didn't think he was that bad. I just didn't think he was helped by Caduce. Smodic, a 5 because of effort, but the rest of it was crap. Philogene, no service. So what was he supposed to do? So I give him a standard 5 for Philogene. Ageli, again, it just wasn't, just like he was just too slow with the ball, a 4. And Hurst, I'm going to give him a 2 just because he actually worked a bit. Because after, missing a penalty, you're bread and butter. And I see a TikTok video earlier where it was like bread and butter, and then it's circus theme on there. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was hilarious. I thought well deserved. Unfortunately, Hurst, you've got to take your punishment. And I just feel that the subs come on. I thought Nunes looked bright when he came on. Jack Clark, player in form. If it had been on the pitch, he'd have took that penalty. And you can't fault Jack Clark. I've given him some stick. I'll be honest with you. I even said once if you bought Jack Grealish off Timo, that would be Jack Clark. But the lad is shut me up. And he's getting better. And I love that. I love a player to shut me up, and I think, like I said, he's doing well. But you cannot, under no circumstances, you cannot play slow like that. You cannot do it. Away from home or go home. You can't. You've got to be on the front foot from the start. You've got to make them passes crisp, get that ball forward quicker. I've said that again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. When the centre-backs are getting more passes than the midfield, than the forwards, then you know something's wrong. Get the ball forward, knock it out wide, get some players in the box, whip a ball in the box, see what happens. Yeah, if you've got a low block, get some crosses in. Have some players on the edge of the box to maybe take a pot shot, And that's prime example. Middlesbrough player leaves Davis eating a bit of grass, whacks the ball across. Cypre with his knit one, pearl one feet ends up at the back of the net. You go down the byline, you whip that ball across, you never know where that's going to go. If it goes out, it's good defending. But if you hit a defender in the wrong way and goes in the back of the net, you're 1-0 up, you're 2-0 up, you're 3-0 up, whatever. But we've got to start getting that ball down the byline a bit more and keep coming backwards. The amount of times, I'll tell you what, right? The amount of times we have been hit on the break from absolute shit corners because everybody's crowded the 6-yard box, which should look, I don't know, we say about modern football, but you don't need to crowd the 6-yard box. Surely you want to create space in that 6-yard box so that you can come in and attack the ball. And then you've got to have at least 2 midfielders or 2 players literally on the edge of the centre, or edge of the box circle there, half circle, to at least pick up the ball and take a shot. Back Paul says, so negative, the fans can see it, but McKenna can't. Tell me why that is. Because McKenna, I think, is I'm struggling to understand what McKenna's thinking right now. I don't know. I heard a rumour today, that Forest are maybe looking at McKenna. Well, off you go then. But who are we going to get in? This is the other thing, right? We can say, okay, get rid of McKenna and all this lot, but who are we going to get in? I'd have Rossini. I think he's a very good player. Cruncher questioned it when he was with Hull, had some good players at Hull. I think he's a very good manager. I rated Liam Manning, but not doing very well at Norwich. I think it comes down to McKenna's a modern manager. He's coached most of his life since obviously he decided to sort of give up football because of his injury. But I just think he's coached as far as he can at the moment with Ipswich. It just feels like, modern football, inverted fullbacks, hybrid wingers, hybrid tens, and it just think to myself, shut up. They're wingers, they're midfielders, defensive midfielders, attacking midfielders, strikers, forwards, central defenders, and all that. None of this modern terminology does my head in, and I get the feeling McKenna's a little bit stuck in that way. Needs to do something with this team. Needs to, I'm struggling to understand. I'm struggling to see where we are going to get enough points to get anywhere near the top two. Would Dyche do a good job at this level? Yeah, probably. But would you want Dyche's style of football? That's the problem. Adrian Scarrett says, "Do we go back to basics?" The thing is, it's all very well saying go back to basics, but if we're not doing the basics right, how can we go back to basics? We can't even put two or three passes together at times, and we move like statues, and I've seen honestly, at one point when Caduce had the ball, I genuinely thought there was a snail coming up behind him. It was bad enough when Wolfenden used to step on the ball and frustrate fans, but for me, it's just, I don't understand it. Just don't understand the politics of the decisions that are being made within the club. Colin says, Kieran McKenna gets at least to the end of the season. I said that last season. For me, he gets to Christmas. I think after Christmas, by Christmas, we'll know where we are. Like I said, we can't keep making excuses for Kieran McKenna. We can't. We can't keep making excuses for the players. We can't be making excuses. We have over £100 million squad there, and we're not winning games against teams that we should be. We're certainly no Burnley. We're certainly no, Sunderland, right? People said, Sunderland are crap. Their football is poor and stuff like that. They're not like, but they got promoted, and now they're doing really well in the Premier League because they're doing things differently. I watched a few of the games, and they're not always passing out from the back. They're doing long passes down the channels. They're putting pressure on the back line of their opposition. We will be talking so differently on Saturday afternoon, everyone. Colin, I hope you're right. But it just worries me. I said this, and we've said this, every fan says the same thing, right? If you go back to first two seasons, obviously, we get back-to-back promotions, and you win your home games, and you get what you can away from home, yeah? Arguably, you've got to win half your away games, yeah? You've got to win half your away games and win 90% of your home games. You can afford to lose 3 or 4 games in a season if you want automatics. But you look back on the table Teams that have lost 6, 7, 8 games in that season very rarely make the top 2. So we've already lost 3 games. Are we gonna make top 2? No. Are we gonna make top 6? I don't know. I don't have the answers. Sunderland scraped through the playoffs, luckily, but they are showing what can be done. Absolutely, recruitment is key. We needed a number 9. And we didn't. We got Azon in. Akpom, I'm struggling to understand what he offers us. This player at Middlesbrough scoring for fun. Look, struggling, sat on the bench. We paid £11 million for McAtee. What's happened to him all of a sudden? I'm struggling to understand it. Is there injuries? Is there things going on that we don't know about? Colin, I agree. Leeds and Sunderland will stay up, in my honest opinion. I just think they've got something about them. They're just, they're just being managed and. My question to the chat, and I appreciate everybody that's joined me, and I'm sorry if I've waffled a bit or whatever, but is McKenna a tactical manager? Or is he a manager that says, right, we're going to play one way, and we'll change it up by bringing on 4 subs at 70 minutes? I don't think he's a tactical manager at all. Genuinely don't believe he's a tactical manager, because at no point yesterday when we were 2-0 down do I see any tactic change. Not at all. All I saw was plan A with different players. For me, it's good managers know when to change things up. You think, right, okay, this ain't working, right? This ain't working, right? Okay. Right, we need to do something a bit different here. Okay, so we can bring on 4 players, right? Right, okay, right, O'Shea, Palmer, get notes to them, get shout. Right, okay, boys, play long balls in the channels. We'll get players forward. No, we don't do it. Even Norwich have won 2 away games. Admittedly, it won against 10 men Blackburn for 45 minutes, but the budgies don't mention that, do they? I mean, look, they haven't won a game at home this season, have they? My God. Mind you, I know how many games? We won 4 games, haven't we? I think we won. I'm just going to, you think I know what it is when you're being an Ipswich Town fan, right? Yeah, we've won, oh God, I said 12. We've won 3 games all season. 3 games out of 9. And we've got 13 points. Promotion is average 2 points a game. That's promotion. And we're not doing that at all. It's pretty much 1.3, 1.24. I think Canada's a good coach. He gets the best out of players. He doesn't want to change things tactically, which is his weakness. Furlong came onto the pitch in the second half and was trying to whip up the Town fans to get behind them. The fans did, but sadly his fellow teammates didn't. Paul says terrible. I can't disagree with it. I think them comments are bang on the money. Like I said, we got 11. I'll tell you what we got. We had 11 players on the pitch yesterday, and it was literally, Graham. Do you know what? I get said this all the time. We are quarter of the way through the season, fella. We are quarter of the way through the season, and we're no closer to top 2 than we are to relegation. In fact, I think, what are we? We're 13. 13, so where are we? We're 5 points off relegation, and we are, 9 points off the top spot. That says everything you need to know. 9 points, 8 points off Middlesbrough now, and we're only 5 points off relegation. And I know that people say, well, we're never going to get relegated. I'm not saying we will. I don't think we'll ever get relegated, not with the team we got. But right now, I do not see a £100 million plus team at this moment in time doing anything other than maybe finishing, scraping top six, a playoff place, scraping a playoff place, and then it's a lottery. You would think with the players that we've spent, the money we've spent on players, that we would have done better. Did the owners think that? Whenever we do well and stuff like that, you get Ashton smiling and looking everywhere and, getting involved with the fans. And then when we lose, you don't see him. We have a game in hand. I get that. But just remember, we were 1-0 down against Blackburn. And we had a player sent off. So let's be honest, I don't think we'd have won that game. So with respects, and it's all about opinions, we've, you could argue we've played 10 games and we've got lucky with one of them games that it was abandoned and we got a replay. Dick McKenna should be on your podcast and listen to you and other supporters. I would love to have Kieran McKenna on the podcast, but are we going to get an honest interview from him? Probably not. I would love to ask questions, why this persistent passing out from the back all the time? Why aren't we playing into the channels when we need to? Why do we keep passing backwards when we could go to the byline sometimes? And Ipswich Town FC away support is unbelievable. Sold out every away day for the last 3 seasons. We ain't winning all the time, like the budgets keep suggesting. And you know what? Absolute credit to every away fan that went all that distance to see that dross, because it wasn't pretty. And I think that we've got Charlton next, haven't we? Charlton Tuesday, haven't we? God, bloody hell. That's come around quick. What's going on here? So, yeah, we've got Charlton Tuesday night, and then we've got West Brom, haven't we? That's our next game. And then the thing is, right, this is where we are, right? So, okay, so we could get 3 points against Charlton. West Brom, tough old game. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a tough old game. Bromley are a bit of a bogey side with us, apart from the time we beat them 7-0. And then we've got a tough one, QPR away. I don't see us winning that. Watford, probably get a win against them. Swansea, Burgess is going to be well up for that, isn't he? Let's be fair. Don't see us winning that. I see us beating Wrexham. I don't see us beating Hull. So I don't see any away points coming based on what I've seen so far. So we've got 3 away points, 3 games that we're not going to get points from. And then obviously we've got the replay with Blackburn. Colin says, the subs are far too late coming on. Absolutely. I'd have changed things at half time. I think Azon and I think Kajus would have been the 2 players that I took off at half time. Hurst and Kajus, I don't think they were particularly effective at all. Support Friday night and Middles reserves applauding. Absolutely. Big massive applaud to all them fans that went that long distance. Singing in the Rain at Blackburn replayed. Do you know what? Football away days or football days are the best days. If you get to go and you can go, they can be some of the best days, even when you're losing. Some of the chants, some of the fans that have come up, some of these songs are geniuses. I saw the other one of the friendlies, wasn't it? Dar O'Shea, are you okay? Are you okay, O'Shea? And I thought that was, genius. And that's what we get from our town fans. It's good. But, and to be honest, so anyway, Paul Barrett, to be honest, if we lose Charlton and West Brom, his time is up. I couldn't agree more. I think if we can't beat Charlton and West Brom and we lose both them games, I think McKenna's time is up. For me, he's got till Christmas, not the end of the season. I think if we're top 6 by Christmas, I think we could comfortably say he's managed to change things around and things look a little bit more rosy, and we can trust the process. But right now, I don't trust any process at the moment. I don't trust McKenna's process, and I don't trust Ashton's process, because at the moment, people say, "Oh, team needs time to gel and time to set up and all this lot." But no specs, but nearly caught all the way through the season. There's no excuses for it. These are professional players that are paid mega bucks a week to kick a ball around for for 90 minutes or 95 minutes if you added time. So for me, that's where I am. I have had a lot to say tonight, and you guys have had a lot to say tonight. For fuck's sake, don't get Russell Martin. All I can say is thank you for everyone that joined the live tonight. You may not agree with everything I say, and I respect that. You may agree with everything I say or some of what I say, and I appreciate that. The good thing about talking to you guys live and having you guys in the chat, I can't thank you enough. So look, it's Mike Live, as you say. I hope the sound is better tonight. I didn't want to get the mic out again because that was not a great. I was just a quick question, guys. How was the sound tonight? Was it good or was it good? Was it nice and clear? Hope I am clear, even though my teeth are falling out. I think they are anyway. Feels like it. Brilliant. Thank you. And AD says, a lot of great show tonight, Mike. Thank you. Look, I'm enjoying this. Like I said, we do have some good old podcasts out there at town. You've got Kings of Anglia, Blue Monday. They're not ones I really follow too much. I watched a couple of my old mate Martin's channel, Talking Town. If you're a subscriber to Talking Town and you're not, go and join them. There's some interesting characters on there. With very different opinions to mine, hence why I'm doing this. So yeah, enjoy that. And then obviously you've got the Suffolk Crunch and Where the Town Walk, another new podcast that's come out. And it's nice that we've got all these different people having a conversation and having a chat, and you're right, I will never be a happy clapper. If a team's done shit, I'll tell them. If they've done great, I'll tell them. But I'll always keep it real. And I will sometimes lose my head. And I will sometimes give my head a waddle. A waddle? Mind you, I'm big enough to waddle, so let's be fair. Manning in. Colin, that is brilliant. I love it. So, listen, I'm Mike the Fisherman. This is Fisherman's Bluez. Like, subscribe. And thank you for everybody that's been on the live tonight. Click that like button. I'll tell you what, I didn't have any like. I'll tell you what, give me 50 likes. The end of the, people that watch your videos after this, give me 50 likes, and that's. You must be the only. You're in York, are you, Paul? Wow, love it. From me, the Fisherman, nappering Colin. You're making me laugh. Brilliant. Right. I'm going to bed. I've got an early start in the morning. You lot have been brilliant. Thanks to everyone that's joined the live. I will catch up with you soon. Till next time, this is Mike the Fisherman. This is Fisherman's Bluez. Upper Town.